Right now, in a garden you would call ordinary, a honeybee is landing on a flower, and it is not seeing the flower you see. To you, that bloom is a flat patch of yellow. To the bee, the very same petals are blazing with a glowing bullseye and bright lines running straight to the center like a painted landing strip, painted in a color you have no name for and have never once seen in your life. You and the bee are standing in the exact same garden. You are not standing in the same world. I'm Ren. And the animal I want to sit with today is one you have walked past 1,000 times without a second thought. The honeybee. A yellow speck near the flowers, easy to wave off as simple. But behind those two big eyes is a creature reading messages written in light you cannot detect, steering by a compass drawn across the whole sky, and dancing directions in the dark to the others back home. So let me try, carefully, to take you inside. There's an old idea in biology I lean on in every one of these, from a man named Jakob von Uexküll. He called it the Umwelt, an animal's self-world. Not the world as it truly is, but the thin slice of it that one particular body is built to sense. Yours is made of the light your eyes can catch, a band of sound, smell, touch, taste, and it feels complete. It isn't. It is only the part of the world you happen to have organs for. And the honeybee has organs for parts you do not. Start with color. You and the bee are both trichromatic. You both build every color you see out of 3 basic channels. But the bee's channels are shifted over from yours. You see red, green, and blue. The bee sees green, blue, and ultraviolet, a band of light sitting just past violet, completely invisible to human eyes. And here is the trade. To buy that ultraviolet window, the bee gave up the other end. A honeybee is essentially blind to red. A bright red poppy to a bee is not a shout of color. It is nearly dark. But the ultraviolet is where the secret lives. Point a special camera into a meadow, one that can capture ultraviolet and flowers you thought were plain light up with patterns. Bullseyes, arrows, bright runways pointing dead at the center. Biologists call them nectar guides, and they are, quite literally, advertisements. Over millions of years, the flower and the bee struck a deal. The flower paints a sign that says land here, the nectar is this way, and it paints that sign in ultraviolet. A private channel no clumsy nectar thief who cannot see it will ever read. It has chosen a color you were never invited to. And here is the part that stops me. You could photograph that ultraviolet pattern and hold it in your hand, and you still would not be seeing what the bee sees. You would be seeing a translation, ultraviolet swapped into some false blue or purple your eyes can handle. The real color, the actual sensation the bee is having, stays on the far side of a wall you cannot climb. Now look up. To you, a clear sky is just blue, a smooth, even dome, the same in every direction. To the bee, that sky is covered in a pattern. When sunlight scatters in the atmosphere, it becomes polarized. The light waves line up in a particular direction, and that direction forms a huge, orderly pattern wheeling around the sun across the whole dome of the sky. Your eyes throw that away completely. The bee's eyes read it. In part of each eye, a honeybee can look at a single patch of blue sky, and from the way that light is polarized, know exactly where the sun is, even when the sun itself is hidden behind a cloud, even when it can see only one small window of blue. It carries a compass, drawn in a kind of light you cannot perceive, stretched across the entire sky. So a bee foraging far from home, even with clouds rolling in, is never lost. The sky itself is a map, and it holds up one corner to read the way back. And when it gets home, it does the strangest thing of all. It tells the others where to go. Back in the hive, in total darkness, on a sheet of honeycomb hanging straight up and down, a returning forager begins to dance. She runs a little figure 8, and in the middle of each loop, she does a straight run while shaking her body. That is the waggle, and it is a sentence. The angle of that straight run, measured against straight up, encodes the direction to the flowers, measured against the sun. If the food is straight toward the sun, she waggles straight up. If it lies 60 degrees to the left of the sun, she waggles 60 degrees to the left of vertical. And the length of the waggle, how long she keeps shaking, encodes the distance. A longer waggle means fly farther. It is a map, danced in the dark. Read by her sisters through touch and vibration, in a language with a grammar. This was decoded by an Austrian scientist named Carl von Frisch, work so extraordinary it won a share of the Nobel Prize in 1973. Bees are not just gathering food. They are telling each other in symbols precisely where to find it, and it all chains together. She flies out under that polarized sky compass, holding her heading even under cloud, finds the flowers by their ultraviolet runways, glowing come here in a color we cannot see, and her fast eyes keep it all crisp at flight speed. Then she flies home and dances the whole trip into a set of instructions on the wall of a dark hive, a compass, a hidden color, and a dance, all working as one life. And I have to be honest about how we know this. We never climbed inside a bee. We built the whole picture from the outside, with patient experiments, trained bees, cameras that catch ultraviolet. We can describe this world in beautiful detail. We just can never quite step into it. Because here is where I always have to stop and be truthful with you. I can list for you every single thing a honeybee senses. Ultraviolet runways on the flowers, a polarization compass across the sky, a dance map read in the dark. I can name every one of them, and I have told you nothing about what any of it is actually like to have from the inside. In 1974, a philosopher named Thomas Nagel wrote a famous essay with a haunting title, "What is it like to be a bat?" His point was this: you could learn every fact about a creature's senses, every cell, every signal, and still not know the one thing that matters most, what it feels like from within to be that creature in its world. The facts sit on the outside. The experience stays locked within. It is the same wall right here. I can hand you the word ultraviolet. I cannot hand you the color, because you have nothing in your memory to build it out of, no more than you could explain red to someone born blind. We can map the senses. We can never quite feel the feeling, and I have made a kind of peace with that, because the humility is the beautiful part. These are not lesser minds fumbling toward ours. They are other minds, genuinely and unreachably. Other. But before you go, let me turn the whole thing around and point it back at you. Because the real shock was never the bee. It's this. Every one of those hidden messages, the glowing runways, the compass in the sky, was there the whole time, in your garden, over your head, this very afternoon. The flowers were advertising in a color you will never see. The sky was holding up a map you cannot read. You simply were not built with the door to walk through and meet any of it. You are not standing in the whole world. You are standing in your slice of it, your Umwelt, a small bright bubble you mistake for everything there is. Your mind is every bit as strange as the bees. You're just so used to it that the strangeness has gone invisible. So here is what I would love to know down in the comments. If you could switch on just one of the bee's senses for a day, ultraviolet eyes that see the flowers light up, the compass that reads the whole sky, or the dance that turns a journey into a message, which one would you choose? And what is the first thing you would go looking at? I read every one. If sitting quietly at the edge of another mind is your kind of strange, subscribe and stay close. There is a whole planet of them out there, thinking in ways we will never fully reach. And next time, we'll go and find another one. I'm Ren. Mind the light you can't see.